Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And today in this video, there's a ton of questions that people have been asking, like what kind of mastery should we run, like what kind of mastery is good for Greatsword Spear and all that. So in this video, I'll be talking about and breaking through. It depends on your build, depending on like what kind of build that you're running. So in this video, I'll make it easier for everyone to build their own masteries pretty much. And I'm gonna try my best to explain what each mastery does and what kind of build is good for each of those masteries and whatnot. So yeah, let's just get right through it. Before we get into the video, I appreciate you guys all watching in. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube and it'll help me a lot. I'll appreciate y'all. And don't forget to leave a like if you like this kind of video. So yeah, let's get into the video. So let's check out the masteries. Pretty much people are running different kind of masteries. So I'll try to explain what each mastery node does and what's good with each build or not, depending on what kind of quest log you're running. So let's talk about the Greatsword mastery for a bit. So on the Greatsword mastery, you pretty much the only thing you want to take as a Greatsword Spear is, I would say, the critical equilibrium and blade harvest. These two are the main mastery that you want to take for the epic node. The reason is you don't really want collision. If you don't have the Lulu Spear, it's just useless to build collision. But if you have the Lulu Spear, then it's debatable to run perception balance. I think it's 200 collision hit on max, so it's a pretty good collision amount that you can get from the mastery node. So yeah, for most people, I would say if you don't have the snow or you don't want to build like a certain collision build, just play around critical equilibrium and blade harvest. These two are a really good node to take on. The critical equilibrium just gives you flat 12% crit damage if you have a lot of HP, and once you drop below that 50%, it'll give you defenses. So it's a really good mastery overall to take. It's a must pretty much for any great swords. And for the blade harvest, it's kind of conditional to use this, but aside from the other nodes, I would say this is the really good one, because like when you do either a greatsword dash, or if you have your greatsword Q block set up on your skill stat, it can pretty much trigger a lifesteal. Like I'll show it to you guys right here, dash right here, and then there's gonna be a 3-second duration, and then there you go. It says 0 because I'm not hitting anyone, but if you hit someone, it's gonna take that 10% of whatever damage that you dealt with in that clump for your lifesteal. And pretty much it triggers every 10 seconds. No buff duration, it's not gonna affect it. No cooldown reduction, it's not gonna affect the amount of like the cooldown of the mastery node. So just keep that in mind before you take this. So pretty much what you want to do is just keep dashing around, and there's gonna be a lot of lifesteal that you're gonna get after you dash. Alright, the reason why we don't really want to take Unstoppable Rush, because you need to build a collision resist in order to use this. I think on max it's somewhere around like 400 or 500 collision resist, but yeah, it's a lot of collision resist, but you need to build a high amount of collision resist in order to not like get yoinked or get collision pretty much when you're using the charge skill. So I would say for Gladiator it's really hard to build unless you have some collision resistance already, because a lot of people are really going a really high collision chance. So you pretty much don't really want this node to be used pretty much, because the amount of collision resist that you need to build is just really high in order to make this usable. So yeah, right now I would say for the small masteries part, it's pretty clear. Like the first node, you kind of want the power grip. This is kind of a must for Gladiator. And force capacity, you only take this if you have HP above 30k. If you don't have any HP above 30k, then there's no need to take this mastery node. You can take some other things, but if you don't have anything else to get, so you can pretty much just get this node anyway. Still, sacrifice is really good. Like if you build around heavy, you don't really want to take it, but it's just a really good defense. It can put up your defense to a really high amount, so I would consider taking it. It's not that bad, but again, it just depends on these two, which one is more preferences. And if you take Indomitable Arbor, then pretty much take this. If you don't take the passive, then you don't need to take this. I would say this is the most useless one out of the four, because Steed Fast Rush, it only gives you like CC resist when you use Barbaric Dash, and pretty much you don't really want to put Barbaric Dash in your skill set. There's a lot of skill passive that's really good, so pretty much because you don't use Barbarian Dash, this node just becomes useless pretty much. Alright, now let's go to the second part. Second node, I would say this is a must. Dauntless Recovery is a must. Pretty much it gives you lifesteal, a lot of like lifesteal pretty much. It's just free HP. You don't want to take Vital Conversion if you're going Greatsword Spear. The reason being is it's gonna drop your hit to such a low number, because it converts the hit from Vital Force to a defensive stat. Pretty much it gives you evasion, it gives you skill damage resist, and it gives you stun resist, which I would say you don't really need anyway. Yeah, you kind of want defense, but if you can't hit those targets anyway, there's no point on playing DPS when using this Greatsword passive pretty much. And the amount of evasion that you got pretty much on KR when it was first released, it's a lot of evasion. That's why a lot of people take it, but now it has become known that the evasion is kind of underwhelming, so it's kind of useless. So that's pretty much it. But Binding Warrior and Cold Warrior is kind of broken right now. It's kind of like it's not usable. So it pretty much applies what Cold Warrior does to a bind target, but the only bind you have is pretty much the dash. So it pretty much just enables the dash to do something with Cold Warrior. But if you don't take Cold Warrior, then don't take it. I would say these two are your prio pretty much. Reckless Assault is really good. The amount of skill damage boost you get from this is quite a lot. It gives you another 60 pretty much after the passive that it's coming with. So it pretty much total give you 180 skill damage boost, and that's a lot of skill damage boost. So I would say you can grab this. It's a really good passive overall. And for the fourth note, I would say that this Death Blow is kind of useless. This is the most useless one. The Finchy one is kind of useless too if you're running a proper static. The reason why I'm taking it right now is just to unlock Blade Harvest. But the reason why this is useless is because your tank usually run the Finchy with this on anyway. So you're not gonna get that double defense stack if your tank pop it and you popped it. There's no use on this passive pretty much. Alright, I would say the other two is pretty much what you want to take most of the time. Far Strike is a really good Greatsword note. If you don't take this, you're kind of trolling. It gives you the AoE range for Devastating Smash and Frost Cleaving to become a really huge kill. Without this, you're pretty much not gonna hit anyone, but with this you can hit like a huge clump pretty much. So it's a really good mastery node. You really want to take this over anything else. And this one pretty much just gives you the range of casting, so you can cast it from far away pretty much. So yeah, and that's about it on Greatsword. For a small thing you kind of want to take depending on your build. I would say if you're building like fully hit, then pretty much take all the hit first before you take any crit, and once you're done with that, you can start taking crits. And you don't want to take max damage if you don't have crit, by the way. So yeah, now let's get into Spear. Spear for the fourth note, what you want to take is pretty much usually if you're building, I would say if you're building Vanguard, if you build a lot of Fortitude, you pretty much want to do Tenacious Spirit. It gives you the cooldown speed. I believe it's 12% when it's max. The reason why I'm not running it right now because I'm not running any Fortitude right now. I'm only running like 20. But if you're building like a regular endurance build with Vanguard pieces, either 4-piece or 2-piece Vanguard, if you have 50 Fortitude or higher, pretty much take this. It's such a free cooldown speed, and it's a really good node to take pretty much. I would say this is the primary node that you gotta take. If you want to build Collision, if you have the Loose Spear, Ruthless is such a good mastery node. At max, I believe it gives you 40 for each 10 Fortitude. So if you have 50 Fortitude, that gives you 200 collision chance, which is a lot of collision chance. And Explosive Force is pretty much a really good offensive node, but I would say if you don't have Delos Noah, it's kind of underwhelming. I mean, it still does a lot of damage on your burst if you do Rising Slash on a single target, but yeah. And Victory Shield, I would say this is the most useless one. The reason why I'm taking it is because I'm not running this or that, because right now if I don't have Fortitude, I'm only getting like a little bit of collision chance. I'm not getting that many. This, I would say it's kind of good still, but at the same time it's not really good. Reason being is, yeah, you got 6k shield, which is really good, but it only lasted for 3 seconds, and you need to kill someone with a spear skill in order to pop this shield. And then it only lasts for 3 seconds, and then after the 3 seconds done, you're pretty much done with the shield. And it has a 25-second cooldown, which is quite high. So I wouldn't really be taking this unless you don't have anything else to take pretty much. So the other prior is pretty much the Tenacious Spirit and then the Explosive Force. And then the other two is like kind of it depends on your build pretty much. All right, and for the first node, pretty much what you want to take is this one. Perfect Tempo is always a must, I would say, if you're playing Greatsword Spear. It gives you a lot of hit, it gives you attack speed, and pretty much as a Greatsword Spear, you don't need range vision anyway, so it's a good trade-off to have. And I would say Swift Reaper is kind of the most useless one, because in order to trigger this, you need to kill someone, and then there's a chance to increase the attack speed and the cooldown speed. So pretty much it's just like you pretty much have a chance to practice, and it's not really like you don't kill that many people anyway. Yes, you can kill people here and there, but I would say once you kill people, the reward is not as tempting as it is, because it's in the end of the day, it's still a percentage chance. It's a 30% chance to trigger this 15% cooldown speed. So it's just kind of useless. You don't really want to take it. It's kind of ass. And Universal Protection is a really good stat because it pretty much converts the attack speed that you get from Final Precision to defenses. And with 5 debuff on, which you can easily upkeep with Spear, you can pretty much have 1350, if I'm not mistaken, 1350 defenses up perma. So this is such a really good, like, a brawling passive that you kind of want to take pretty much. This is really good if you take Retaliatory Strike, but remember, it's gonna drop your crit, and it's kind of clunky to use this because you need to always use it on the 4th skill. So pretty much you want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 one is gonna be the one that has more crit hit and crit damage if you take this one. So it's just a really clunky tanky passive. I wouldn't really recommend taking this, but yeah, if you have it on, if you're not taking universal protection for whatever reason, then yeah, sure, that's usable, but you kind of really want the universal protection over because it just gives so much defense and it's so free, it's so easy to upkeep. All right, and then the second note, pretty much ultimate impact is kind of what you want. If you have Mortal Wrath on, this change it to make your some of the skills that usually deal like a little bit of damage, like let's say precision dash or the gale rush, and those skills with this you can pretty much kill people with this now. So it has a chance to proc it if you heavy hit on the precision dash or the gale rush, and then once you proc it, it's like a flat 3k damage, so it's quite a lot of damage to get from the Mortal Wrath. So I would really recommend grabbing this. It has secured me a lot of kills, so this is such a really good like passive to take. Yeah, it's gonna decrease your defense and all that, but with universal protection you kind of covered that amount of gap that you have on the defense anyway. So this one, unlimited arsenal, is kind of ass on Greatsword Spear. You don't really want to take it because it pretty much enables another weapon that is restricted from this passive, such as the crossbow and all that, to have a 7% chance of activation. But without taking this, you have 10% pretty much. And by taking this, you're pretty much making this passive worse on Greatsword Spear. So you don't really want to take this at all. The sustaining guard is really good. It's pretty much a life steal that you get from Mortal Wrath. Every time you proc this, it's gonna have a life steal. But the reason why I'm taking it because it reduces your Mortal Wrath damage potential pretty much. So I really want to use my Mortal Wrath to like finish off kills. So I'm not really using it for life steal, but it's really good stat still if you want to use it for life skill kinda. So I would really recommend taking it. But yeah, it just depends on the amount of damage that you do because it decreases the damage from ultimate impact by 20%, but it gives you a decent amount of lifesteal. Malice Master is pretty good. If you take the Malice Surge, you pretty much want to take this. It's pretty much just buffing whatever it does already. So it's a really good passive to take on if you are running Malice Surge. And then for the third row, what you want to take is pretty much Enduring Dash. A lot of the times if you're running Endurance, you want to take this because Spear, Greatsword Spear specifically, has a lot of like movement skill. So like your Gale Rush, your Precision Dash, every single one of your dashes pretty much is gonna give you a 250 buff, and you can kind of keep that up for quite a lot of time. So it's just pretty much another buff for endurance, which is really good, and you kind of want to take this at any time of the day. All right, and let's talk about this one, Precise Control. So this one you don't really want to take. Reason being is it's just basically giving you the hit chance on the control skill of Spear only. So pretty much that means Abyssal Cleave, Tempest Strike, and Death from the Above. Those three are the only skill that's affected by this passive, and I would say it's not really worth to take it anyway. I mean, if you have spare nodes to spare, then yeah, sure, but I would say most of the time it's not really good to take this. Supreme Burst is a really good one because every time there is an enemy with 5 burst stack that you apply it from the burst debuff. What is the burst debuff? It's pretty much the debuff that you get from using like Cyclonic Fury, like Culling Arc, pretty much the other Ignite pretty much. If you're not running Ignite, then pretty much you have the burst debuff, and those debuff pretty much if you stack 5 of them, which is the max is on enemy, it's gonna give you a 7% damage boost overall to the enemy. So every time you stack burst on them, you pretty much can do more damage overall. 7% boost is quite a lot, but the amount of weaken chance that you need to apply these bursts consistently is the one that usually fucks this node up. But it's a really good node still overall. I'll really take it if you don't have anything else in mind. But yeah, Repulsive Fury, you only take this if you run Patient Block. If you run the GS block, then don't take this. There's no point in taking this. But if you take the Spear block, it pretty much gives you a 3-second cooldown decrease on all of your skill if you successfully perfect block someone with a Patient block. So yeah. Alright, now let's talk about the overall mastery skill. This is the one that a lot of people usually ask, and what is the recommendation for them to run it pretty much. So if you don't have a high enough mastery level, I would recommend just taking whatever you can take. On offensive side, pretty much take the Overcome Crisis, Destruction Spear, Poison is really good too, and I would say you can also take the other 3. Doesn't really matter. I would say those 3 are kind of the one that you want to take, but then once you reach the level of 520 is where things get a little spicy. So pretty much you unlock Potential and Dragon Ascent, and Potential is really good because you kind of want this mastery node to be taken because it pretty much gives you 1 point for every stat that you have in your build, and it's pretty much a lot of like the break points through that you kind of get from those mastery thing. So yeah, it's just a really good mastery to take. I would really take it. It's pretty much 5 free stat point, so you kind of want to take that is a must. Pretty much fix a lot of people's build and all that. So yeah, Dragon Ascent, you kind of want to take this once you have Dragon Ascent because Greatsword Spear has a lot of mana, and usually when you have a lot of mana, every time you throw those Javelin Infernos, this is gonna do a lot of damage to those clumps pretty much. It's just such a good damage boost, and it's such a really good mastery, I would say. Falling Flower is really good too. These two synergizes really well, but Falling Flower unlock a little bit later after the 520. I think it's something like 660 or something, or 650, I forgot. But after you unlock Falling Flower, these two, if you take it together, they pretty much synergize really well, because Falling Flower triggers after you spend 10% of your max mana, and Dragon Ascent is pretty much trying to push your mana towards that 60% side. So it's pretty much gonna drain your mana in like a quick second. So pretty much with these two, if you have full mana, you can burst people with those Javelin Infernos and Explosive Fury. It will do quite a lot of damage. Indomitable spends, you would really want to take this if you run Fortitude. If you don't run Fortitude, then don't take it. It's pretty much a good shield if you have a lot of health, and then that pretty much triggers it whenever you got hit. It's a quite good amount of shield. It's like 6k or depending on your Fortitude. But yeah, the cooldown is just a lot, but it's still a really good mastery to take. Alright, here's the big thing. When you get 780, Time Bomb is a must. I don't think I need to explain it how good Time Bomb is. You pretty much want to take it if you have a lot of HP, which usually when you play Gladiator, you have a lot of HP anyway. It's such a good skill. It doesn't scale with any of the crit and heavy, but pretty much if you bomb it on someone, on the enemy, they can't really have resistance on it too. They can't evade it, they can't endure it. They pretty much just gonna take that flat damage, and it can stack to up to 3 people. And if you can manage to make them stay in the clump where you put the Time Bomb in, it's a really good 10k damage-ish in that area flat. So it's just like a true damage. It's a really good overall mastery skill. This will change a lot of the damage that usually you do on those Greatsword Spear damages. So yeah, this is such a broken mastery skill. I would really recommend for every Gladiator to take it, no matter what your build is. So yeah, Lightning Speed, I don't really see this working on Gladiator, but maybe someone can prove me wrong. But I would say for me right now, I'm not really a huge fan of this, because all the other masteries are pretty much a lot better than Lightning Speed on Gladiator at least. Alright, and I appreciate you guys watching in, and if you guys have any question regarding the mastery and all that, just join Discord. You can ask questions, a lot of people will be answering there. We got a huge Gladiator community pretty much on Discord, so they'll pretty much be happy to answer all of your questions. So yeah, if you haven't already, like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one, guys. Peace.